Hey gamers, I've been playing Rust for a long time. I, among a lot of people, know Rust crashes a lot. There's a lot of problems with the game. It's very unoptimized, so if you're coming here, you're not alone. Trust me, there's thousands of people just like you. Everyone who plays the game has crashes, has lag. It's a problem. I have a couple methods here that could really improve your gameplay, as well as stop crashes in asset warm-up while you're loading in, or just on startup in general, or just crashes in general. So the first thing we're going to be doing here is creating a restore point. Creating a restore point is pretty easy, and it'll save you a lot of trouble, especially if anything in this tutorial gives you problems, which it shouldn't, because we're not deleting anything, we're not removing anything. But you know, 2 years, 3 years down the line, 2025, 2026, things might not be the same, and you might have problems that break your computer. First thing we're going to be doing here is hitting configure, making sure this is about 10%. And if you don't have it on there already, just go ahead and put it to 10%, apply, and okay. And then we're going to create a restore point. I'm going to name this before Rust changes. Yeah, create. This will take a few moments, but trust me, in the long run, it'll save you a lot of trouble, especially if you end up having any problems. All right, close and okay. So next thing we're going to be doing, I'm going to go ahead and refresh my screen out of habit. We're going to make sure Steam is completely closed. All right. Now the first thing I do want to touch on is the actual system requirements to run the game. If you're playing on a laptop, if you're playing on like a MacBook or something, and it's like a 2001 HP, you might have some problems because Rust is a very big, unoptimized game. You may not even have enough space on your computer to run the game. So before you even really get into the next couple settings here, just try to make sure that your computer is actually compatible enough to run the game. The first thing we're going to be doing aside from that is updating our drivers. So I have an Nvidia GPU, I have GeForce Experience. So if you have an Nvidia GPU, you have GeForce Experience, go ahead and open that up, go to your drivers, and go ahead and look for updates. If you're already up on the latest driver, you're good to go, man. Doing a great job. We're actually going to be checking for updates. So always, if you're going to be gaming, make sure you're on the latest Windows update. Now that doesn't mean that if you have the option, you need to upgrade to Windows 11. Windows 11 is terrible. If you don't need it, just don't do it. And now we're going to be updating our graphics settings. So the first thing we're going to be doing is just typing graphics settings. Open that up. Hardware accelerated GPU scheduling used to be like POG, used to be really good. It's not as good as it used to be, so I would go ahead and disable that. Another thing that can really help you here, I forgot about this. We're going to browse, we're going to find our Rust folder. So mine should be, click on that here, program files, Steam, where's Steam at? Steam apps, common, and we're going to find Rust. There it is. All right. So you see here, I have mine with these little symbols. That's because I have them on run as administrator mode. I believe Rust client.exe and Rust.exe are both going to be on here, so I'm just going to add both. Okay, they're both added in there. Options, go ahead and set that to high performance. That'll improve your gameplay just a little bit, but it makes a difference. So we have both of these on here. They're both set on high performance. Another big thing that a lot of people seem to miss is if you don't have a lot of space on your computer, it will cause your Rust to lag and to crash. So I have a small 500 gig SSD right here. I have Rust installed on this SSD. This is my local disk. You're going to want to make sure there's at least 25 to 30 gigs free on this, or you could be potentially suffering lag spikes and crashes because of this reason. This may even fix your problem right here. Another big thing that's going to solve a lot of these problems, a lot of these crashing problems for most of you, is just to verify the integrity of your game files. If you haven't tried this already, I would definitely recommend it. This fixes a lot of problems for a lot of people for a lot of different errors, not just crashing and lagging. So we're going to open up our Rust, go to, I think it's properties, yes, installed files, and then we're just going to click verify the integrity of our game files. Now this will take a couple minutes for sure, but like I said, for a lot of people, this fixes your problem like 90% of the time. All right, so now that we failed to validate. Look, man, they're validating right there. So I actually had a couple files that failed to validate, and those are reacquired, and the game is able to be played. So when this is done, a lot of your problems could be fixed just with this one step right here. Now, in a few of the past steps and a few of the upcoming steps, you may have been prompted to restart your PC. Don't worry about that. We're going to do that at the very end of this tutorial, or whenever you're done with the tutorial. If we fixed your game, just go ahead and restart your PC before you go into game, especially if you've updated your drivers. For the next step, we're going to be running Steam as administrator, and we're going to run Steam in compatibility mode for Windows 8. So an easy way to do this is to just open up your little start menu, click Steam, open file location. There it is right there, boom. Properties, go ahead and go to compatibility mode. Let's go ahead and try this out. Running compatibility mode for Windows 8. This could help your problem, as well as run this program as administrator. Now this is a big one here. It could definitely help your lag and crashes for sure. Go ahead and apply and OK. And we're going to do the same thing for Rust. So back into our file explorer, local disk, program files, Steam, Steam apps, boom, common, Rust, Rust.exe, Rust client.exe. I believe it's Rust client.exe is the one that your game actually runs on. We'll figure that out in a moment. Properties, compatibility. Now I don't have mine in run compatibility mode, but we're gonna go ahead and turn that on because I would never do anything for you guys that I wouldn't do for myself. Apply and OK. Rust.exe. Go ahead and do the same thing. Even though I'm pretty sure this isn't necessary. I'm pretty sure it's Rust client, but we're gonna go ahead and do it anyway. Running compatibility mode from Windows 8, run this program as administrator, apply, OK. Now this is a big one, guys. If you're playing Rust, Rust is a huge game. So let's just open up Task Manager and let's look at what else is taking up a lot of our CPU usage. So for me right now, I have Wallpaper Engine turned on, which is this awesome background that you guys see in the back here. That's, other than File Explorer, the biggest program I have running on my computer. But Rust is going to take up like 70% of your CPU. So whatever programs you have on here that could be dragging your system down, go ahead and right click and end task on any of those. Now don't just go through here willy-nilly ending tasks. If it's using a lot of CPU other than Rust, go ahead and end that. Don't end system, but like if you have like Photoshop open, Visual Studio Code, Adobe Premiere Pro, anything like that, just go ahead and close it. You don't want to have other things open while you're gaming, because it'll cause, you know, FPS drops, crashes, all sorts of nonsense. We don't want any of that. So go ahead and go through here and make sure that you're clear of any other programs that may be taking up a lot of space on your CPU. Next up, we're going to be changing our power plan to high performance. So go ahead and hit the start menu, go to power plan, choose a power plan. Now you can create your own power plan. I'm going to go ahead and hide these. We don't really need those right now, but I believe that is unnecessary. If you just select high performance, all the extra settings that you could do in here, go ahead and turn these off. Why not? Save changes. Let's go back in there, change advanced power settings. Turn off hard disk after 0. We don't want that. Apply OK. Go back in there. Should have just stayed in there. I'm a silly Billy. Processor power management. Minimum processor state, maximum processor state. Make sure these are both at 100%. Always apply and OK. So yeah, this is done. We don't need to mess with this anymore. Go ahead and exit out of there. Now we're on a higher power plan. Sick. This one might be a little complicated for a lot of you, but luckily I've done this like 7 or 8 times, so I know what's up. So first of all, you're gonna want to open your Rust. I don't have Rust open right now. Let me go ahead and do that. Look at that. Rust is just opening. That's crazy. It's just crazy. And I believe it's running as administrator. Oh wait, it may not actually be running as administrator right now because I haven't restarted my PC yet. That's completely okay. Go ahead and start the game anyway. Hell yeah. So anyway, Rust is open. Whatever is in our details is what we need to set the priority for. Man, come on. So we're just gonna click here, right click here, open up Task Manager. All right, so we have Rust and we have Task Manager open. So as you can see, we have Rust client.exe. It's not responding. Typical. Go to details, and this is what we need right here. So right click Rust client.exe. We're gonna go to set priority into high. Now for a lot of you, you're gonna have a problem where it says access is denied. It'll be at normal. You're gonna try to set it to high. It's gonna say access is denied. Watch, I'll show you. I'll try to set it to normal. Boom, just like that. So that's the problem you're gonna have. To fix that problem is the more complicated bit of this part. If it doesn't say access is denied for you, then don't worry about this little bit. It's not gonna mess with you. So first thing we're gonna be doing to fix that problem is run. Go to reg edit, Click OK. I already have all this open, but for your convenience, I'm going to close all this and I will show you the pathway the way you will see it. Alright, so you're going to open up to this page after typing regedit into your run. Go to HKey local machine. We're going to open up software. I believe we go to Microsoft. Oops. If you click on something and press M, it'll take you to the M section, so it saves you a little bit of time. So Microsoft, we're going to go down to Windows NT W. Oh, WAB, I see. Here's Windows NT, there we go. We're going to click on current version. Now under current version, there's going to be a lot of files as well. We're looking for this right here, image file execution options. Again, more files. As you can see, I already have my rust.exe right here. I'm going to go ahead and get rid of that for your convenience. What we're going to be doing here is right clicking on image file execution options, go to new, key. Now this is case sensitive, so try to keep it in line with what I'm typing. If you're playing Dying Light, it may be different for you, but the same thing applies. Check your details, see what the file name is called, come here and type the exact same thing that the file that you want to set the priority for is called. Enter. Under this rustclient.exe, we're going to click new, key, and we're going to name this one perf options. Wonderful. Now under perf options, we're going to right click again, new, dword 32-bit value. And this is also cap sensitive. Make sure you type the same thing as me, CPU, priority, oops, class. Wonderful. That's just wonderful. We got that right there. Right click on that. Oh, sorry, double click on that. Make sure it's set to hexadecimal, and for the value, set that to 3 and OK. So now if you open up your task manager and you go to details and your Rust is here, you right click on it. Mine's obviously not open anymore, but if you right click on it and you try to set priority again, you'll notice that it is set to high. And you may have to restart your game for those changes to take place. I'm just letting you know. So next up, we're going to turn on game mode. This one's actually pretty easy. Click start menu, go to game mode. Game mode settings. Sick. There's a few things here we can mess with. So I like to turn game mode on. If it works for you and it increases your FPS, definitely have that on. But I would definitely check to see on and off, which is better for your specific device. Game bar. Turn this off. This is terrible. Turn it off. Captures. Same thing. If it's on, turn it off. Turn all this off. Next up, we're going to be going into our Nvidia control panel. And to do that, we're going to right click on our desktop, Nvidia control panel. Just wait a moment for that to open. All right, so we're going to go to the first little thing here. Ooh, a little bit of lag right there. Gaming, I see. Yours, I believe, is going to be on this, but if you're on a lower end computer, you can click use my preferences. You can click use my preference emphasizing quality or performance. So you'll automatically have it set to quality, but you can kind of turn this down halfway or turn it down all the way and hit apply and OK, and that might boost your FPS a little bit. Depends on your specific situation, so definitely try that out. Another thing here, again for lower end PCs, you can go to change resolution, and you're always going to want to make sure that native is the one that you have selected, unless you have a really good monitor or system that can support a higher hertz. It's like, as you see here, it's capped at 60 hertz. I have a 144 hertz monitor, so clearly that's, I'm downplaying what I could be seeing. So for those of you who have higher than 60 hertz monitors, go down to PC, select your native resolution, and as you can see, it now goes up to what your computer and what your monitor can actually support. Again, apply, and yes. But right now, I would always recommend restarting your PC, especially if you updated your drivers in the previous step, or were changing settings that gave you a pop-up that said that you're going to have to restart your PC for the changes to take effect. So go ahead and restart your PC and make your way back to this video, or just continue forward. It's completely your choice. But now I'm going to show you the best in-game settings that I am using. Now, in-game settings are a really, really, really big part of your FPS on Rust. And you may think your FPS and your client isn't necessarily a big deal, but if you're loading into a server and there's a bunch of stuff and there's a bunch of people and it's heavily modded, you could be crashing, you could be lagging, you could have all these problems, and all you would need to do is just turn your settings down a little bit, especially for you new players. Whenever you get the game, a lot of the time it's loaded onto your system with the highest settings enabled, all this jibber jabber, all this rigmarole. We don't need any of that, okay? So I'm going to show you my in-game settings, and then I will load into the game to show you what it's going to be looking like after all of these changes are taking effect. So I'm going to go into my options here. I like to have my field of view up all the way. Head bob, turn it off. Crosshair actually was a fantastic add-on. Hit cross, turn it on. Hurt flash, off. Compass visibility, sick. Bag gifting, I don't even know what this is. Rich presence, yeah, turn it on, whatever. I like to have the FPS counter on so I can kind of see how my system is performing while I'm in game. If you're recording or streaming, always turn on underwear because you see a lot of peepees on Rust. It's really interesting. I would just go ahead and copy my settings here. Creation effects, super cool. I would go ahead and turn those off. Max Gibbs to 0. Now, while creation effects are really cool, I do recommend turning them off because they can definitely cause lag in game, especially if you're around more than 1 or 2 people building. It could just cause your system to like freak out. You never know, especially if you're building really big structures and you're not playing unmodded where there's B grade and so on and so forth. User interface, I would just kind of copy my settings here. Nothing here is really going to affect your FPS in game. Controls, I don't really need to go there. If you can, if your system is a little bit better than most, always try to use your native resolution, again minus 1920 times 1080. Always make sure your mode is in full screen. Full screen is going to guarantee you the best FPS. Turn off VSync, turn off FPS limit, and these 2 things, go ahead and turn those off as well. Graphics, depending on your computer, you're going to switch between Potato and Ultra. Potato really doesn't look that good, although I don't think this graphics quality setting necessarily impacts your FPS a lot. I have mine on Ultra. I have my render scale up all the way. Nvidia DLSS will improve your FPS, but at the cost of it looking kind of choppy. I don't know why this is. It's a cool setting. If it works, it'll improve your FPS. If you have the option, definitely mess around with this after your settings are kind of set in stone. Shadow quality, you can turn that all the way down. Shadow cascades is going to impact your game crazy. Turn it off to no cascades if you have FPS drops. Max shadow lights all the way down. Water quality down. Water reflections down. Shader level down. I like to put my draw distance up all the way because it allows me to see the full map around me, as well as any players that may be 200, 300, 400 meters away. This will really help you out, especially in PvP situations where you're fighting at a long distance, or you're looking for something in the area and it's not rendered in, or you're flying a helicopter and things aren't rendering in as fast as you want them to. Shadow distance, go ahead and put that down. Anastrophic filtering and parallax mapping, I would go ahead and turn all the way down because these are the 2 big ones that are going to affect your FPS the most. Global rendering, I like to have on just because I think it was a nice add-in to the game, but you can turn it off if you're having problems. I like to keep that on. Global render scale, I like to have up all the way, but if you have a low-end system, again, I would try to put that down halfway or just however much you can tolerate. Grass displacement, I like to keep this on because if somebody dies around you, like you kill somebody in like a grassy field, a lot of times you're going to be looking for that gun and it'll just be in the grass somewhere. But if you turn grass displacement on, you can actually see that gun on top of the grass. And of course, turn off grass shadows. This will actually make a big difference for your system. There used to be a console command where you could turn it off manually, but now they have added it into the client, so go ahead and turn that off. Nvidia reflex mode, if you have the option and if it works for you, try to do on or on plus boost. Now you can switch between these 2 or just turn it off in general, but I have mine on plus boost and it really boosts my system performance just a little bit. I just don't mess with this setting. I don't even know what it does. Mesh quality, this is a really big one. I like to have all of mine around 50 to 60%, as you can see here. And you can kind of tweak these as much as you want, but this will really affect the way that your game looks. So keep in mind, if you want your game to look like Roblox, you can put it all the way down, that's completely fine. But I have mine right here and it makes my system run pretty well as keeping the game from looking like Roblox. A big one here is our image effects. Image effects is going to be huge on your game's performance. Turn all of these off, and then I like to have sharpen on because it makes the buildings, it makes the trees, it makes everything kind of look sharper, which is what you want, especially when you're trying to discern players from bushes at 200 meters. Sharpen is a really good tool to have on. Anti-aliasing, now this is a really big one for a lot of you. More than likely, you're gonna have FXAA or SMAA. I would try to mess with that whenever you get in game, because between these two, there can be a very large difference in how sharp your game looks. I have mine on SMAA with these settings, and it works very well. So that's what I have. For experimental, I would turn all of these off. GC.buffer is a really big add-in to the experimental page. Now, normally you would go into your console and type in gc.buffer 2048 or 2096, but they have it on here now, so you can just go ahead and set that all the way to 4096. If you have a lower end PC, set it to 2048. Optimize loading, make sure that's turned on to partial, especially if you have an SSD. If you have an SSD, turn it to partial. If you do not have an SSD and you're running on a hard drive, go ahead and turn that off. Other than that, gc.buffer all the way. When you're launching Rust, if you're launching it from a desktop icon, that could potentially cause you a little bit more lag and crashes as well. So a pro tip, I would always launch your Rust from your actual Steam library. So I'm actually playing on a server right now. It's a solo duo modded. As you can see, the game is not choppy. It's very smooth. Everything's running quite well. And with these settings enabled on your device, you're looking at running pretty much the same, if not better. There's just a little bit of gameplay to show you. The game is running quite smoothly. It looks quite nice. Everything is nice and sharp. Maybe a little bit blurry at a distance, but other than that, everything looks really nice. Like, this is not bad at all. This is pretty good. That's my base. Check it out. On top of a rock. I got a big furnace up there.